Why aren't you dressed for school, Prickly Muffin?
I'm scared. Olivia told me sometimes at school they have pop quizzes.
You stick with me, and I promise you, everything's gonna be just fine.
Cut!
There are so many real-life issues that happen to child actors. This is the age when we are most impressionable, and we are starting to realize around the age of like 6 to 8, we start to realize that the world isn't just about our internal sphere, but we're paying a lot of attention to what are the rules on the outside, and we're formulating how our culture works. The problem with being a child actor and getting all of this attention and validation for the things that we do, for the ways that we look, and being constantly judged actually reprograms, rewires the way that we deal with human dynamics. And I think that everyone was right that there are so many psychological aspects of what child actors go through that this is a wonderful case to be able to take a look at it. So we can all put on our therapy hats and take a look at the psychology of child actors with Sarah Lynn.
The most important thing is you gotta give the people what they want, even if it kills you, even if it empties you out until there's nothing left to empty. No matter what happens, no matter how much it hurts, you don't stop dancing and you don't stop smiling, and you give those people what they want.
Now, yes, this is just a single use case, but it is actually true, and for a lot of us, we can remember those people that have shot us down, that have said something to us that just sticks with us. But I think that for Sarah Lynn, having BoJack Horseman, this person that in some ways played the perfect father, and then the difference between that can have a lasting effect. At this age, we learn our self-worth. We start to develop our self-esteem by the rules of what everyone else around us, what they validate us for. And so with child acting, often that is for our sexuality, which is really creepy, especially when it is a sexualized child, even from a very young age. Wasn't in this case, but is a very common thing that happens to child actors. That my value comes from entertaining others, that my worth is in the money that I bring in, and that I am a commodity to be used, possibly abused, to everyone else around us.
And how about Sarah Lynn as Sabrina? Isn't she wonderful?
Oh, thank you.
Sarah Lynn. You remember that name.
Our reward system is becoming exceptionally activated from that false love and adoration from everyone else. And that can start addictive properties, which can end up becoming addictions in many different areas. But that part of our brain, when we start activating our dopamine system from the validation of other things, it can also make us have addictive personalities. And so we're actually rewiring the brain.
What is the message behind your music?
America needs to know that I'm not that little girl anymore. I'm a grown-up, sophisticated woman now, and I have sex, and I do sexy things.
This is really common. To be able to no longer be this child actor, to be able to be looked at as a woman. So people often over-sexualize themselves to want to change the model of how people see them so that they can end up, one, cashing in on the new commodity because yes, unfortunately, sex sells. Then people end up undervaluing their other sets of traits. Often people will feel that the thing that gives them the most validation the fastest is what they want. That goes with some of the addictive properties. And it's really hard to get out of that mold. Sometimes also the parental figures that are around you are also feeding into that. And I don't just mean mom and dad, the different directors, the role models that are around you that now will look at you in a different way. When your self-worth is only attached to what you can give to others, one is when you lose that, you go through this depression feeling, this lowering of the amount of dopamine that you feel because you're not a self-fulfilling engine. You're not creating self-worth from your character and the things that you can do that are not of value to others. You're only as good as the last thing that you've done, and you want more of that because you haven't developed this well to be able to hold your own self-worth in it. And when the well doesn't have an end to it, it ends up becoming more like a sieve than a well that can hold any of those feelings of self-worth.
Please, I wanted to do this in a public place so you wouldn't make a scene.
Then you really don't know me at all. Hey everyone, who wants to see me take a dump on that sofa?
And when you have inconsistent attention and affection from your caregivers, that can often cause an insecure attachment, where you end up with this fear of abandonment, fear of your own self-worth, and that if you don't give what people want to them, that they will leave you. And unfortunately, when you're a person that has fame and fortune, often people are with you for your fame or for your money or for their own want to get ahead. And so often that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the people around you are not actually caring about who you are, but they care about what you can give them. And that can cause a fear of abandonment, a difficulty in creating happy, loving, stable relationships, a difficulty with trust, where you feel like everyone will betray you, probably because in your life a whole bunch of people have. And you can end up with these dependent, codependent relationships, or even situations where you control people through manipulation and a negative feedback loop. So you are going to punish people if they don't do what you want. And that can lead to borderline-like traits or narcissism. And these are just ways in which you can try to control things that are uncontrollable around you.
Don't need rehab. Look, good as new, huh?
Oh, great. Well, that's a relief.
There's so much. Like, I could do this entire episode. It would probably be like 3 or 4 hours, because there's so many different issues that they actually brought up. And I think that's the wonderful thing about going through different issues in media, is that you can really, especially with this show, you were also right, there's just so much psychologically that we could deal with and learn about. But you can also tell that she doesn't have proper boundaries and consequences. She just lifts her shirt. This is something that, if you had a strong parental figure, would say you shouldn't just be lifting your shirt to anyone that comes by in order to show something. But to her, she doesn't see that as a limit. And she may do it because she wants the attention, but she also may do that because she hasn't learned that she shouldn't, and that she doesn't notice that that would even be inappropriate. Or she might be doing it because she knows it's inappropriate and she wants the attention, or she wants the shock value, or she wants people to remember her or have that attention because of it, or possibly be intrigued by her. But there's definitely a disjoint between boundaries and consequences and her behavior and her own self-worth. We would have to get into it much deeper to be able to figure out the reasons why. Maybe we'll find out in later episodes.
Should you be taking all those pills?
It's deoxytriaxylphenobarbital. I got it from a doctor.
Your doctor or just a doctor?
I don't know, some doctor.
But it's her way of numbing so that she doesn't have to feel all of these negative feelings. When you've been running away from problems, that can often be the issue itself, that it is difficult for you not just to have people say no to you, but also to be able to deal with difficult things. And because that can be overwhelming, if you have not learned the skills young to be able to deal with difficult situations, it can be an overwhelming sense of anxiety. It can cause panic attacks. It can cause anger, self-destructive effects. And so often people do try to find medical ways to numb down those feelings, to be able to push them down. And that could be drugs, it could be alcohol, but it could also be getting super involved in a different activity or running away from your problems in other ways that people may see as more adaptive, but they're still running away from your issues.
All my life, I've never been forced to confront my problems head on. No one has ever said no to me. Is it cool if instead of confronting my problems head on, I just hide out here for a little bit?
You just need a strong, responsible adult to say, yes. Yes, you can move in with me. This is gonna be fun.
And 2 things are happening here. One is that for BoJack, he is actually trying to deal with his guilt by fixing a problem that he feels like he did beforehand and taking her in and trying to relive that show, trying to make that show that he lives in the reality. But unfortunately, TV shows are not reality. We can use TV shows to look at reality, but we can't live in that fantasy world, even if we may so want to. They can be a fun way of escape and to learn about things and discuss things, but BoJack can't go back there because Sarah Lynn isn't that little girl from the show. We have 2 people that have wounds inside of them trying to heal both of those wounds, but unfortunately, they are going to play upon them instead. And for Sarah Lynn, never having anyone to say no, often you do just find other people that won't say no to you. And when you are rich and famous, you'll have enough people that when one person does start to put their foot down, you often will just go and find someone else that won't.
BoJack, where did you go to college?
Don't bother him, honey. Honey, college is for ugly people who can't tap dance.
But I want to be an architect.
Sweetheart, Mommy didn't do it so that you could be an architect.
A lot of these show moms that do push their kids, and sometimes they're living out a fantasy that they might have for them, vicariously living through their child, but also sometimes they are putting them in these predatory situations where their child will be used as a commodity. When your income is reliant upon your child, sometimes you will allow things to happen that you shouldn't allow them to happen. Sometimes times are difficult for people, but that doesn't mean that you should be using your child and putting them in harm's way for it.
What are you doing this weekend?
I don't know. I'll probably just go to the amusement park, maybe the circus.
Whoa, that sounds like so much fun. Can I come?
Yeah, like I want to spend my weekend hanging out with a little girl. Good one.
I'm not going to say that it's up to BoJack to be able to fulfill the role of a father for Sarah Lynn, who doesn't have it, but we can definitely see how she would love that. For a lot of people, they are hoping to have these healthy relationships where someone will care about them for them, and we will end up having that affirmation and care for our personality where we don't have to be a star and do things for them in order to feel loved, to be able to have that unconditional love that we crave. The unfortunate thing is when you don't have those kind of vitamins growing up, where people haven't been caring about you and make you feel worthy just for being and for who you are as a person, that can be really detrimental because you don't end up forming those strong foundations of self and understanding, and you can often not form a healthy internal self-esteem. Healthy self-esteem is one that is not affected by, that doesn't mean that you don't feel bad if bad things happen, if you get fired, if someone breaks up with you, that's still hurt, but it is not as devastating because you know who you are as a person and you know you have value. You have value for who you are, not just for what you do.
No, that's not cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I thought this was a place where Sarah Lynn could finally be Sarah Lynn. That's too much, man.
I always loved that catchphrase. Can your friends at least take the artwork off the wall first?
Ooh, I wanna say yes, but no.
Okay, good talk.
So you can see the emotional manipulation. She uses his own line against him, which he feels a little bit of like, oh, that's kind of cute. Often people will use guilt as a weapon to be able to control people's behavior, especially when they don't think that people will respect you. She doesn't understand boundaries. She's used to getting whatever she wants. And so because of that, she's going to overstep on other people's boundaries and actually see when people enforce boundaries as it's personally against her. And for some people, that's the main way in which they're going to handle human dynamics, how they interact with everyone else around. And so you feel like if you ever ask someone, the person that might do that for them, they're going to come back at you and ask for something else and then use that they helped you out as a weapon, and then you feel in a bind. But they wouldn't return the same respect to you in the first place. So remember that.
Let's go.
Well, it seems like some things are forever in this world. Don't you know I'm feeling fine together with my girl, daddy's girl.
A lot of times people try to reclaim time that they feel like they've lost by redoing the things that they would have done in that time. Now, sometimes that can be a beautiful, wonderful moment if someone's in the place to be able to do that. And so I think it's really sweet that BoJack tried to do this, even though I think that for him, he's doing it to try to reclaim things that he feels a little bit guilty for, but also that would have been a happier time. He's reliving moments from his own past that feel joyous. But unfortunately, often when we go back to those kind of moments, they don't give us the same feeling. There is a complete difference in firing when we're reliving our heyday or things that were magical to us or things that in our mind, our fantasy creates that this would be wonderful, but often the reality pales in comparison to those moments. Sometimes it doesn't though.
Oh, you know what I'm going through. Why? Because you were on some dumb kid show a million years ago?
Hey now.
I had my own fashion line when I was 10. By 20, I was packing stadiums.
When you form your identity around a certain thing, that can become who you are. And learning to separate that your ideas, that your feelings, that your job is not your identity, you have one separate from that, can be a very foreign concept, but that's a healthier concept. Because the problem is that, especially when you get into things like identity politics, when you have a thought that your beliefs are your identity, then if someone attacks those beliefs, you feel personally attacked. When you realize that an idea is just an idea and it could be right and it could be wrong, it allows you to be more mentally flexible, where you can change and feel different things. It stops you from going through situations where you're going to have cognitive dissonance that is going to warp the way that you see the world and the way that you react with people.
We're just a man and a lady living in a house together, and we're both adults, and we're both a little drunk.
Oh, this is really uncomfortably close. There's an irony with this being uncomfortably close. But the way that I feel right now is the way that I felt when I watched the scenes. The reason that this is so uncomfortable was that he played a parental role. Now you could say, yes, they're now adults. And when she was younger, at least from the scenes that we've seen, it didn't seem like he was doing grooming-like behaviors. But the nature of their relationships puts the power dynamic in something that there is not a equal level of power. She saw him and hoped for him to be this father-like figure. And often you can end up with what we used to call daddy issues, where you are hoping for a parental love, and you will get that in whichever way is easiest. And so that's why this feels so vastly inappropriate and awkward. He was this father figure that was supposed to care for her and keep her safe. And now it feels like he's just taking advantage of her issues and that she's inebriated and that she wants this care and love to get what he needs. You could say that he also has all of these different issues as well. But because he played a parental figure, because of the age between both of them, she's 30 now. Yes, she is an adult, but in a lot of ways, she is emotionally still a child. And when who you are is linked to your sexuality, you will often have many inappropriate relationships with people in order to hope to feel loved and cared for. You're doing things that will often not create that feeling of respect or unconditional love, but that is often what you are hoping for anyways.
Sarah Lynn, this is for your own good. You can't stay here anymore.
Okie doke. I guess I'll just move out and find one of the billion people who will let me party at their house.
Well, you should not do that.
Oh, I know. But I can, so I will. I'm at a place right now where I never need to grow as a person or rise to an occasion because I can constantly just surround myself with sycophants and enablers until I die tragically young.
What?
Unfortunately, that is often what happens. To be able to just keep on finding people that, well, be sycophants to everything that you say, you can continually live in this way of avoiding reality and having to not deal with the consequences to your actions or even grow, because growth often takes you doing the things that you don't want to do, dealing with those emotions that you may have repressed and using different emotional tactics to be able to control the people around you. And when they finally get sick or fed up or decide to try to set boundaries, you are just going to leave and find another simple way of living in that level of fantasy and avoidance. The past, you think that you can run away from it, but you can't. And it can be a really difficult thing, a really scary thing to be able to take accountability for your actions, because that means you have to be responsible and deal with them and possibly change. And change is difficult. That's why many people choose not to, not because they're truly choosing that, but because it's easier and it lets them feel safe. So that is a little bit of the psychology of Sarah Lynn from this episode. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, I would love if you'd hit subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.